breaks down scriptures and breaks down God will understand that God sits here. There's nobody that sits on that throne with him or share the same.
I see exactly what he's saying, because if God is the source behind all that is created and Jesus is God's son, that means Jesus is a creation of God, meaning he can't be on the same level as God because Jesus is not the creator. He is the creation of the creator. I see what he's saying, but you can't say this to the previous generation and the panel of men that he was around. You can't say this to Christians. Yo, peace and high vibes. We live in the high come, rocking number 9, and we in this month. Feel me? We in this jump. Y'all see by the title we finna get into. Turn on my post notice to keep up with me. And yeah, man. We about to get into this NLE shit. I saw a clip of him and Jonathan Majors chopping it, but I ain't watched the whole jump. Without further ado, let's get into video by Poetic Flaco.
Jonathan Majors is currently beefing. This is like the most unexpected beef I think I've ever witnessed on the internet, and it's pretty one-sided, to be honest. But why they're beefing and what they're beefing over is even more unexpected. So
NLE and Jonathan Majors beefing? Is that just bad word choice, or is they actually sending Twitter shots, bro?
NLE Choppa, Jonathan Majors, Kirk Franklin, Ray J, Kev on Stage, and others did a podcast together. And during this podcast, they discussed a lot of things. Now, NLE Choppa was the youngest person in the room. I think everybody there was 40 plus years old. NLE Choppa, I believe, is like 23 years old.
What a band of bros, bro. They had Ray J, I think Kirk Franklin, Jonathan Majors, and NLE Choppa. What the fuck? What a random gang of people.
22 years old. And from the comment section, people felt like NLE Choppa wasn't willing to listen to certain things. He was talking as if he was an authority in that room when he should have been listening and kind of taking in the advice. Ray J called him out on it at some point during that podcast as well.
NLE is my, and he's smart. And he's his own. You carved out your own way, so you understand.
I would see that.
You understand by being your own boss. So nobody can really tell you nothing.
No, that's not true.
No. Let me just finish. Let me finish.
That's not true. That nobody can tell you.
No, you listen. No, you listen too. No, you listen too. No, you listen too. But what I'm saying is, you're like, think about it. And I know your mom. I know you, like, you manifested where you are right now.
Sir.
So you understand that.
The grace of God.
Cool. That's what you feel.
That's what I know.
Got it. Now, do you feel like you're at that experience level to where you can tell these and give these some advice?
Do I?
Like, really? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you can give Jonathan Majors some advice?
So is he trying to say that just because he's young, he can't give any advice to people older than him? Because that's like one of the first signs of ignorance, bro. That's one of the first signs of ignorance, being closed off because of a shallow characteristic from the messenger, like age. Listen to the message, not the messenger. The messenger matters, but not every time, bro. NLE, he can give some game to niggas, bro. Just because you older don't mean you know more than somebody younger than you.
Do I feel I'm at that level?
Yeah, not successful.
No,
that's a good question. I'm talking about experience.
Knowledge-wise, right?
Yeah, do you feel like that?
I can only give where man is willing to receive.
That doesn't make any sense. But
that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Because if he knows what he is talking about and he has some knowledge to give, he can say it to somebody. Like for Ray J, for example, he could say it to bruh, but if you not able to receive it, then there was no point in him giving it, and he actually can't give you anything because you can't take it. I think Ray J isn't. Fuck that. I don't think Ray J qualifies to be at this table.
I don't feel like your experience. That doesn't make any sense. But that doesn't
give where man is willing to receive.
That doesn't make any sense. But that does just answer the question.
Break it down.
Do you feel like your experience? Do you feel like your experience in the world that you can give Jonathan some advice
if he's willing to receive?
That's way out. I need to smoke a cigarette.
Technically, anybody can give anyone some advice. Okay, a 9-year-old can give me advice. Vice versa, right? There's something to learn out of any and everything. But we're not talking about the technical definition here. No, we're talking about being in a room with older men with experience, and they're discussing certain things that come with age. And NLE Choppa is inserting himself. I remember specifically, even before Ray J kind of said this, Kev on stage was chiming in and trying to give NLE Choppa some advice. Like, Kev on stage was pretty much bringing up the Labubu, pretty much saying, hey, the Labubu is the new toy fad. However, I lived long enough to where I've been able to experience other fads. I've been able to experience the Pokemon fad and other fads like the Tamahichi. I don't know what that is because I'm not that old. But he says, my daughter sees this Labubu and she thinks this is a unique experience when I've gotten a chance to not only experience the Labubu, but I've experienced other fads. And I know that within like a couple of years, there's going to be something new and something else, opposed to my daughter who believes that this is going to be the biggest thing ever. And that's because I lived through the experience of witnessing several fads, including this one. Man, NLE Choppa was rushing this man. You could see as this man was trying to talk, actively NLE Choppa was trying to butt in, being impatient. Even at a point, NLE Choppa asks this grown man, what's the point, bro? Get to it, man. Finish up. I got something to say.
Line for 2 hours for a Labubu, and me and my wife and sister, and that's a difference. So Labubu's for her, it's the biggest thing in the world, and it's really just a stuffed animal.
Yes, sir.
So to her, this is the first time she's seen it. It's on TV, it's on the news. At 42, I realized Labubu ain't nothing but Pokemon cards,
yes, sir.
Beanie Babies, okay. Tickle Me Elmo, okay. Pet Rocks, Game Boys, whatever.
What's the point?
I'm gonna get to the point. The point is,
he was moving as if Kev on stage had nothing valuable to say, and he had all the knowledge. You feel me? But he's only 22 years old. That's essentially what Ray J was trying to say.
I don't think he meant that in a disrespectful way. I think he just chose a poor choice of words. Like, what's the point? Because honestly, like, if you don't, I just think he didn't understand. Honestly, I just think he didn't understand what he was getting at. So he said, what's the point? I think a softer way to say that probably would have been, I'm not understanding what you're getting at here. That would have been a much softer way to say that. But I don't think he meant that in the way Brad just explained it, like, oh, he just thinks he has all the knowledge and his words doesn't mean anything. I don't know.
It wasn't technically about, do you believe you could give advice? Because anybody can give advice. It's NLE Choppa unwillingness to really listen. He was speaking as the authority. I remember one specific instance where NLE and Jonathan Major kind of had a viral moment. Jonathan did come across as a tad bit snarky, but they was talking about the Bible. NLE Choppa was telling a room full of like Christian men, including like Kirk Franklin, who's like a preacher, I believe, or a minister. He was teaching to them about the Bible. And he would tell them, man, I read the Bible, and Jesus is our brother. He's not our Lord and personal Savior. So we got to start treating Jesus like our brother instead of treating him like God. Jonathan Major stepped in and had a viral quote in response to NLE Choppa.
What we're dealing with a lot at this table is because we have had people make us feel bad.
You know why though? It's a thing where you have us here as people, you have God, and then this is what happened. We got to go through all these different things to get primarily the source. Primarily the source. You know what I have a problem with? One of the things I have a problem with, and it may be controversial. A lot of people may say this and may say that. I don't like, let me say it in a manner to where it's extremely intelligent. Let me think on it. In Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my father? And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
Good.
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible, I listen to the Bible, I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
Sir.
Let me ask you a question, Ray J. How has it been?
Jonathan Majors was dismissed.
So yeah, he definitely was dismissive. I'm gonna let bro get into it, but I think that NLE just has a different perspective on Christianity and the Bible as a whole. And if that's the case, you got to know when to speak and when not to. Like if you around a whole bunch of Bible thumping people, whole lot of Christians and a minister, what's the point? You know, like what's the point? Really, what's the point? Because your perspective on it, to me, it's not wrong, but that's because I'm not a Christian. And that's because my beliefs are more similar to NLE than they are to that of a religion. You know what I mean? So I kind of agree with what bro said just a little bit, where I see where he's coming from. But to say that around a whole bunch of Christian folk, it's going to be a huge disconnect. And saying something like that online, you're going to receive backlash.
Kirk Franklin ain't even like respond to that, but he just moved on completely. He said, "All right, bro, right? Enough of that." Now, again, like Kirk Franklin is a minister. Like Jonathan Major grew up in the church. Like his mother is a pastor. So they probably have a deeper understanding of Christianity than NLE Choppa, which I didn't even think was like a Christian. I thought NLE Choppa was like some type of like super chakra, like Dr. Sebi, holistic type of dude. I didn't even know he was Christian, but apparently he is. Right now, I haven't read the Bible front and back. I don't know too much about the Bible, to be honest. 100% I don't know. But I do know there is a discussion among Christians. There is a debate, right, where some Christians do believe that Jesus Christ is God, right, because he's part of the Holy Trinity, right? Like Jesus is God and God is Jesus. While some believe that Jesus is the Son of God and he's not God specifically, right? I do know there was an entire council about.
Because this is how, like, as somebody who's not a Christian and I haven't read the Bible, if he's the Son of God, why do you praise him? He's not God. He's the Son of God, just like we're the children of God. Albeit Jesus was still Christ. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be respectful to y'all religion. But, gang, I see where he's coming from. I always wondered this. Why is he held in such high regard when his father is the real doer of this motherfucker? But that's my ignorant take towards Christianity, though. I am ignorant towards Christianity, as is NLE. It sounds like.
I think it was like the Nicene Council, where like they actually like debated and put this on record that Jesus is God, or Jesus is a part of the Trinity, which makes Jesus God as well, right? Because they are one. And they can't be separated. At least from my little
and when you explain it like that, that makes sense
as well, right? Because they are one, and they can't be separated. At least from my little and limited understanding of the Bible, that's what I believe it says. I don't know. Please don't attack me if that's not what it says. Put it in the comment section and tell me, like, what did your church teach you? Is Jesus God? Is God Jesus? Let me know, okay? But NLE Choppa felt really dismissed and felt like he was being attacked by Jonathan Majors the entire podcast. So afterwards, NLE Choppa did an interview with TMZ,
of course,
where he called out Jonathan Majors. Now, he called him out for some other things that raised a lot of eyebrows, because a lot of people felt like, yeah, this is unusual, right? You don't call somebody out for this.
You recently...
I bit my tongue too, but I'm sorry. This nigga NLE was on this joint just like a Mexican, gang. On God, he looked like that nigga from On My Block. Caesar, on God. On God, he looked like Caesar from On My Block, bro.
Usual, right? You don't call somebody out for this.
You recently kind of did a sit down with Kirk Franklin and Jonathan Majors was there.
Yeah.
And you guys were discussing Jesus,
yeah.
And you made a comment about, people can read about it, but you made a comment, Majors clapped back basically like, yo, maybe you need to read your Bible more, because he didn't like the way that you interpreted it, I suppose, about Jesus being someone, like, he was saying, like, you were saying you don't pray to your brother. What were you trying to say?
I was saying you should appreciate your brother and honor your brother, but Jesus and God should not be on the same plane. It's a thing that people say, well, God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit is are one.
All one.
That's true. That can be one, but that doesn't mean that they're on the same plane. So that's why you have a father. That's why you have a son. That's why you have children. So we're children of the Most High God. So we will never be on the same plane as God. I think the way I probably pronounced it probably created a little bit of misconfusion, but I mean, any person that really breaks down scriptures and breaks down God will understand that God sits here. There's nobody that sits on that throne with him or share the same.
I see exactly what he's saying, because if God is the source behind all that is created and Jesus is God's son, that means Jesus is a creation of God, meaning he can't be on the same level as God because Jesus is not the creator. He is the creation of the creator. I see what he's saying, but you can't say this to the previous generation and the panel of men that he was around. You can't say this to Christians, and you can't say this to the men he was around, especially because they have grown up their entire lives knowing this as the truth and their truth. So you coming up saying that this is what you believe, they're gonna poo-poo it. They're gonna you need to go read that again, son. They're gonna hit you with that shit. They're gonna dismiss what you're saying because they just not gonna jack it. They just as stubborn and they beliefs as some young niggas are. It's a lot of projecting that I'm hearing with this situation. Niggas saying he's stubborn in his ideology and shit. I'm seeing the opposite.
Vicinity. Do you that sits on that throne with him or share the same vicinity?
Do you feel like there's an issue with majors now, or are you good with majors?
I feel like it's not an issue with majors. I never had one. I do feel like it was tension going into the interview on his behalf because I've publicly said things, complimented Megan Good about her looks and stuff.
Oh, that's what it was about.
So like during the interview, it was like certain moments to where like I just felt like he kept trying to use the Megan thing to like, you know how people, as kids, people wave stuff in your face like, hey, I got this, you ain't got that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even that, bro. It was like, you know, I respect whatever, you know, union y'all have. But it was like he kept, during the interview, it was moments where it just felt forced and it felt unnatural with how he was bringing her into the equation. And even like he brought her into the equation and said, you know, no disrespect to the young brother as he looked off and like waved me off twice.
I actually remember that moment because I watched this entire podcast. And
I think it's kind of wild for NLE to be saying this to TMZ, especially. Like TMZ, they gonna stir the pot. But for NLE to not have any PR training in this moment, nigga, wow, bro, you must be trying to promote the album, nigga.
I actually remember that moment because I watched this entire podcast. And NLE Choppa is expressing that he felt like a man brought up his wife to rub it into his face that he has Megan Good and NLE Choppa don't. First off, okay,
I would need to see
that's
the
that
nature
man's
of how
wife.
it
He
was
could
done.
bring her up whenever.
Sorry, I need to see the nature of how it's done for me to have a thought about it. That does sound wild. That does sound a little asinine.
Rub it into his face that he has Megan Good and NLE Choppa don't. First off, okay, that's that man's wife. He could bring her up whenever he wants to bring her up, okay? If you guys don't know the lore, NLE Choppa was on Jason Lee's podcast, and NLE Choppa expressed to Megan Good that he had a crush on her, and he wants to take her out. You know, she kind of, I believe, like hung up the phone or acted like she didn't hear it, and NLE Choppa...
When she cuffed up?
Kind of felt embarrassed. I guess that's the lore, right? He always wanted Megan Good. That was like his crush, but he never could get her because Megan Good, you know, paid him dust.
Twice his age.
So he felt like Jonathan Majors celebrating his wife, Megan Good, in front of him was Jonathan Majors throwing it in his face that he had Megan Good and he don't. And the moment that he's referring to is when Jonathan Majors and NLE Choppa was going back and forth and arguing about, can you get out of that dark place alone, right? And where NLE Choppa says that, that you need other people to pull you out of that dark space, right? You need exterior motivation to get out of that dark place. Like Jonathan Major says, no, nobody can save you when you're in that dark place. and you need to find it within. Like, you need to find your like motivation to live within yourself. Even my wife couldn't save me, and she did enough for me. It was that moment where NLE Choppa felt like, oh, Jonathan Majors brought up his wife in an unnatural way. So
that's NLE being jealous, nigga. That's jealousy, nigga.
He must be throwing it in my face that he has my childhood crush.
Both of y'all brothers shared, you shared what you almost did and you did not. I'm curious what brought you out of that. Like, how did you, what was your thought process to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to live. You know what I mean? Like, how did you, because I imagine those things don't just magically go away, and that thought might be in the back of your mind. Like, how do you process, how do you pull out of that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kev. I think for me, NLE and I was talking about it earlier, right? He was talking about how his daughter, right, your daughter, right, has given him a reason to live.
I mean, listen, guys. There's a lot going on right now at this table. I got a lot going through my head right now.
Give us some.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, yeah, like I found my wife in my lowest moment of all time. You know what I mean? I found my wife, and that's awesome. Like,
she's an amazing woman.
She is an amazing.
My man was smiling a little too hard at that nigga. Fuck you mean she an amazing woman, bro? That nigga smiled, he wiped his waves, he said, hey, she an amazing woman, nigga. Hey, no funny, bro, you got yourself a gun.
I found my wife.
That jump's still tight, ain't it? That's what I heard, nigga.
A lot going through my head right now.
Give us some.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, yeah, like I found my wife in my lowest moment of all time. You know what I mean? I found my wife, and that's awesome. Like,
she's an amazing woman.
She is an amazing.
Nigga too happy, bro.
That's
I know
what we do at the house.
minutes.
When we start feeling good about being married. You just yeah. So I found my soulmate. You know, I found my queen. You know, in that moment, we found each other rather. I'm just gonna move through it really quick, but I got something to say, right? So it's like this. So in that space, like I hear you, young brother. Like, I hear you. You know what I mean? I really do. And I hear you too, Kev. But in that dark space, like nothing. Like sorry, like bad news, Kurt. Like, nothing's getting you out. Nothing's getting you. Like, and I want to talk about that. Oh, my babies. Oh, my career. Oh, my life. Oh, my, no, that's horse shit. That's horse shit. If it wasn't, if you had something to hold on to, you wouldn't be in that space.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My baby girl wasn't gonna get me out. My mama told me I can't get you out.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Megan couldn't get me out.
And your mama preacher.
My mama preacher.
And your mama
you know what I mean?
preacher.
Like, I want to talk about that. Like we can talk about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I feel like let's cut the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? No, out of the dark place, right? Like.
I disagree. I disagree.
Well, respect, young brother.
The role leads back to two. No man, no woman, no kid, no pet can, but God can. The role leads back to two. And my thing, but my thing is though, my thing is this: if we understand the connect, man, listen. I just sat down for 3 to 4 months. I took a break. I could have made $4, $5, $6, $10 million. I left it all on a plate to sit down because something in my spirit wasn't right.
I didn't read that as Jonathan Majors throwing his wife in NLE Choppa's face. I read that personally as Jonathan Majors trying to give NLE Choppa some game, like for real.
And I thought that was some good game they give because he's not wrong. Nigga. Nothing external is going to pull you out of a situation that was created from your internal problems. Simple as that. Not your daughter, not your mother, not your girl, not your career, not no bread. That's not what's going to pull you out. And even if you think it is pulling you out, it's only doing that because you're externalizing your power. Honestly. You're telling yourself that it's pulling you out, but it's really you that's doing it. You're just giving the power to somebody else or to something else. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a good game, honestly. And I don't think that he was bringing up Megan Good to be petty.
For real.
This be the problem, bro. This whole conversation seemed like there was nothing to report on it, but social media gonna make something out of it.
You know, and it's just different perspective. Nobody has the answer to life, bro. Everybody deal with things differently. If you need that exterior motivation to get you out that dark place, that's what you need. If you don't need it, I think Jonathan
that external motivation, it's gonna get you out for now. It's fleeting because it's external. You know what I'm saying? What's external is very clearly limited, but what's internal is infinite. So if you rely on something that's limited to pull you out of a dark place, eventually you're gonna go back in, and you're gonna need your fix again. You're gonna need to go back. Versus if it's internal, it's infinite. You can pull yourself out and stay out. You know what I mean?
Majors was trying to OG NLE Choppa, but NLE Choppa, like, seeing Jonathan Majors giving credit to his wife, for holding him down or shouting out his wife as a diss towards him. And to me, it's kind of like, bro, you can't do that, man. That's I understand you have a crush on Megan, but that's that man's wife. He could shout her out if he wants to, bro, without you feeling attacked. But NLE Choppa felt like that particular moment, what you just heard, was an attack on him, and he felt like what Jonathan Majors did was wrong.
Right. And then he looked up.
Nah, if anything, I think NLE might be a little insecure in his not like we all like whenever you start tapping in, we all go through this phase, regardless of if it's spirituality and consciousness or if it's religion. You go through a phase where you are low-key arrogant with your knowledge, but that arrogance comes from insecurity. So as soon as somebody either disagrees or attacks your point, you, because of how heavily you emotionally associate with your beliefs and ideology, that attack on your ideology now feels like an attack on you, and you start reacting in certain ways, some like what NLE has done, or claiming that he felt like it was this, that, the third. Like, no, bro, it wasn't that at all.
The guy in front of him and made eye contact with him and said, and no, to you as well, Kev, but you did not look at me. You made no eye contact. You brushed me off and then proceeded to disrespect me. You feel me? So it was like, I just knew what was really going on behind the scenes. I knew that was something that he was pressed about.
When you're on a platform like Kirk Franklin, you kind of go into it thinking like, hey, we're about to talk about spirituality
and that's the thing
and like
too.
Keep it positive.
Yeah, bro, that's the thing too. As I'm going into this meeting, I'm sitting down at this table. It's just I felt certain things were just like wasn't of reflection what I feel like Kirk stand for, and I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, no disrespect to Kirk, I know he's just trying to do his thing, and I know he's, he was trying to mediate everything, but I do feel like, even the lineup was just kind of like, it was just kind of weird to me.
What's your message to people?
Told you, nigga, that lineup was weird as shit, bro. You got Ray J, NLE Choppa, Jonathan Majors, and Kirk Franklin, bro. What the fuck? I mean, we all got one thing in common, huh?
Look to you to hear a good word.
I mean, the main message that I was trying to, even leave at that table was just seek God. Seek Him as much as you can, and seeking Him does not always have to start in a church. It doesn't have to start with a Bible.
I agree with that message. Seek out your own relationship with God. If you don't believe in God, that's your right. I'm not pushing on you, but if you do believe in God and you feel like you're not as close in your faith as you should be, seek out the relationship with Him privately.
Like, no funny, bro. I think NLE was set up for failure with this shit, because that lineup is so crazy. And if all of these people here is Christian, I don't know if Ray J is. He be into some dark ish. But if you had a panel of Christians and you somebody who doesn't, who believes in having a relationship with God outside of religion, right? You are more so spiritual, conscious, whatever. But you're at a table with that many Christians, and avid Christians at that, and a minister, you're set up for failure, bro. You're set up for failure, because you're going to get ganged up on, and more people, the majority is going to be against whatever you say. The majority is going to be against whatever you say. I think NLE was set up for failure with this shit.
Seek it out. I'm telling you, man. Any problem you have, any...
All right, I'm going to end the video here. You'll see, we check out the comments before we step. You can't tell him anything because he thinks he knows it all already. Yeah. See, this, like I said, I don't think it's at the age. I think it's a phase of when you start tapping in and awakening. you get to a phase where you are a little arrogant in your knowledge. It happens. This had me weak. Yeah, this had me weak. He doesn't look crazy, bro. He just has a belief and a perspective that's different from others. Where he looks crazy is him thinking that Jonathan Majors was trying to be petty, bringing up his wife. Like, nah, nigga. You should never be offended by a man bringing up his wife. That says more to say about you than it does about him. It's his fucking wife. NLE Chakra. That's what he said. Yeah, nah, niggas nitpicking. I peeped that too. I was like, misconfusion. Wouldn't misconfusion be just understanding? He's a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Yeah, they on his ass, bro. They on his ass. But y'all see where I stand. Y'all let me know where you stand in the comments if you agree or if you jack what the other people saying about NLE. I'll leave this joint here. Comment what you think. Like this joint to give me an algo. Subscribe if you fuck with me. Please. Number 9 signing out.